6:06. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 9th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from May 9th, 2017, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Warrants, or the motion passes, the warrants pass. Lovely, Kathy. All right, additions or deletions to the agenda. Craig has already added under new business the dog warrant for the year. Is there any other additional information that needs to be?
There was a request from the Lister's office that you have, I believe.
We're gonna treat that under members of the public.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, then moving on, let's flip through the warrants. Get them out of the way,
You want me to take care of those?
if you would, please. Thank you very
Come
much.
on.
Good job.
Payroll number 1. Or make a motion to pay warrant number 1 in the amount of $10,623.75.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $10,623.75 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? You were opposed?
Sure.
Okay, so the motion passes.
Make a motion to pay warrant number 2, payroll taxes, in the amount of $4,254.14.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll tax warrant number 2 in the amount of $4,254.14 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 3 out of the general fund in the amount of $295.32.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is that the mileage request?
That is.
Did we hear back about the cancellation?
We did not, and I think that we might want to officially ask that question as to why we received a request for pay for reimbursement for mileage when in fact we got a refund from VLT.
Yeah, the seminar was,
For canceled, so
Canceled,
yes,
right.
we need to run that by. So on this particular one, well, let's go ahead and vote on the motion, then we'll decide how we want to do it. So, all those in favor of approving the warrant number 3 from the general fund in the amount of $295.32 signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? The motion fails. So Craig, would you be so kind as to talk to Mike and ask him to clarify why we have mileage for a conference that in fact was canceled?
okay.
Thank you. Then going on to number 4.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 4 out of the highway fund in the amount of $965.26.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 4 in the amount of $965.26 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 5 out of the general fund in the amount of $4,079.97.
Is there
Second.
any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 5 in the amount of $4,079.97 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 6 out of the highway fund in the amount of $947.62.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 6 in the amount of $947.62 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 7 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $225.73.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying equipment warrant number 7 in the amount of $225.73 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. So let's just flip through the next couple. Here we have the highway report. Kurt's not going to be able to attend tonight. He's ill. But one of the issues that's on this list, and we had our little storm not too long ago that took out the power for all of us for how very long it was. We still have hazard trees in town that need to be dealt with.
In our town?
No, they don't die here.
Oh,
They live forever in town. I think what we need to do is supposedly there's been an effort by the tree warden and by Kurt Bostrom to identify the hazard trees in town. There's supposedly a list being made up. I think we need to have a motion to have that list turned in to Craig by certain time, and whatever you all feel comfortable doing, so that we can hire an outside company to come in and get some of these trees down and out of the way.
Well, we have to have that for the next meeting.
Yeah.
To the next meeting.
So we're gonna get, you wanna wait until what is,
I mean,
Tenth of June.
have the list in the next meeting.
That's the 10th of June. The list, this goes back to town meeting. We had D&E come up and take out 3 trees up at
At
Mitch's.
Mitch's.
And we got a bargain, and part of the reason for that was we're
There's a
gonna,
problem that there's no reason to have to hire anybody.
oh, I understand that. I understand that. And I know he's been checking with Green Mountain Power and hasn't gotten a return on a couple of them that are overhanging the lines.
Well, I'd see that, you get a hold of Carpenter and stuff.
well, all I know is that the trees have been on an agenda now for, I don't know how long.
Well, over here.
As long as I've been here.
And it's time to move forward and getting some of these hazard trees down and out of the way.
I mean, they are taking some down, but they did spend Friday, obviously after the storm, there were a bunch of things that came down.
So, you want it by the next meeting then?
Do we know where they are in the process of making the list? Because, I mean.
No,
if they
I
already
called up there to find out where the list was. Kathy asked me to have the list here for tonight. And I talked to Ed, and he said that Kurt was working on the list. And I talked to Kurt at home, and he's
How about
not
instead
well.
of wasting our time making a list, we just cut the trees down? That's our list. Is the.
Well, he's been out with the tree warden. They've been, I mean, whatever. I mean, they need
Just
to,
cut them down.
Well, I still think, rather than waiting and postponing, what did it take, 3 years to get the trees down on Grafton Road?
well, and you gave Mike permission to cut the one on his,
That's
that
right,
was
that's
about
correct.
3 weeks ago.
Mine came down on its own, it took care of itself.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get the list by next week, and then we can.
Well, next week or next meeting?
Well, we need to see it
We
in
need
the
to
next
see it.
meeting, so.
Okay, so then we will need to let Kurt know that there needs to be a complete list of hazard trees for the town of Townsend to be submitted to the select board by the next meeting in June, whatever.
Maybe the 10th.
Okay, that works. Everybody okay with that?
Yes. Do you need a motion for that, or?
Why don't we make it a motion and then it's official and then we can
Well,
pick
then
up
I
people
can,
who
then I
don't.
can proceed with it without.
Yeah.
Right,
I would move that we ask her to have a complete list of hazard trees by the next select board meeting, which is June 10th.
Is there a second to that? Is there any discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. So that hopefully will be able to get the hazard trees off the list. Here, town clerk, you all have counter money in front of you. Treasurer Joe.
Yep. I have a messed up,
A messed up one?
yep,
Okay.
because CoreLogic posted all of their escrows. And so your, excuse me, your $30,000
Sweet.
figure is $111,444.56. They haven't taken out $86,053.69, so then you will have $25,390.87 in it. But in the sweep account, you have $913,899.60.
Okay, plus the 25.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any questions for Joe?
Okay, so 25, 390, 87.
All right.
So we'll end up with the bottom.
Then we'll move on to members of the public, and we seem to have two of the listers here. I believe they want to,
Yeah, we want to request an extension,
well, okay.
and the reason we want to, first of all, we hope we won't need it, but there's a number of items that we cannot complete until we receive information from the state, which are, the state messed up with the homestead declarations, and they are fixing that. We hope it'll be done in time. We still have some campers to do. What's the third item?
I sat back there so I wouldn't be in the way. I'm sorry.
What's the third item? Campers?
The campers have not got back to us.
Oh, you're right, we're waiting for the owners of the campgrounds to get back to us with the changes for this year, and they've had a lot of changes.
We have the campers and the valuations done. We just gotta make sure from them that we have the right people and addresses connected to them. I think there's no reason this would not be done within the next week or so. But seeing that everything's due on the 5th, and the state suggested that we ask for an extension.
The only thing that concerns me, with everything that's going on and the personnel in Townsend being involved in other issues in the month of June, trying to postpone filing the grand list along with the grievances, along with knowing you're getting into your, setting your tax rates.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit concerned that we're going to squish that box to the point where we can't get everything accomplished.
This won't be the first time that an extension has been requested. I think an extension was requested when we had the last reappraisal.
Yeah, too.
And also the first year that I was on, when Ann Bernhardt was here, she asked, and she was one that stepped in. She asked for an extension then. It's a rare thing that we ask for it, and we probably won't use it. But if we don't ask for it and get the approval from the state, and we miss it by a day, we've messed up.
Like I said, my only concern is pushing it out to the point where we would not be able to meet the deadlines on the tax bills, because those are set by the voters at town meeting day, and we've gotten into that situation
The
once.
other thing is
Those two.
the statutes from the state, I think you have.
I have a copy of them.
You have. So it's a common thing for an extension on that. And there's quite a few of the towns around, from what I understand, because of the mix-up from the homesteads. We've done exactly what we're supposed to do.
Nobody's
It's not that
saying-
we're dragging.
Was current use in there also? He mentioned homestead and he mentioned the campers. He said there were 3 items. I thought you mentioned earlier current use was
No, the
still.
current use.
Do we have, we're still waiting for the state to get back to us on some of the current
And
uses.
So, okay, so
that
it's
very well could be back
No,
on Monday.
I'm just saying, he mentioned 3 items, but he couldn't remember the third, and the third is
We
current
have
use, I
2
believe.
options, and it's very simple. Either we get an approval from the select board, which basically only I have to sign as the chair and you have to sign as the chair. I can't find the right form. But if we don't do that and we go over it, we're messed up with the state.
And I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying my concern is the fact that we're going with everybody having other issues on their plate in the month of June.
And we understand that and we accept that.
And that's my concern, is that we'll get into that box with the taxes being due, not being able to get the bills out in time to give the property owners 30 days. That's my biggest concern with an extension.
The people-
Well,
the
if you don't
people
give us
vote-
the extension now, you won't be meeting again until the 10th, and the due date is the 5th.
It's the 5th.
So we won't have a chance to come back and ask you for it again until it's too late.
I think there's no chance. I don't think there's any reason we're gonna have to have the
Big thing
extension.
is, the people voted to accept payments to pay them, and they gotta have the tax bills ready, supposed to.
I guess a lot
Now,
of.
there's
what we
no
have-
reason to believe that the grand list won't be in long before, July 5th or whatever that would, there's no reason to believe that.
June 5th.
You know what I'm saying, if we got the extension and it's not due till July 5th, it'll be in long before
Yeah,
that.
see, we gotta have, in fact, we gotta set the tax rate 30 days.
If
before
we
they do
don't
it.
have the extension, you're not gonna have the
Well,
grant.
I ain't
list.
saying
It's
that, but I
simple.
say,
I know that most of you on this board don't understand the way it works, but if you
Uh,
don't have the extension, you
how long-
don't get the grand list. It's
how
that
long
simple.
you asking for?
30 days.
30 days?
Well, the statute is 30 days.
Yeah.
We might have it all done.
Oh, yeah, no, I
before the
realize, just
5th.
look-
We might have it done on the 7th. Anyone on this board is welcome to come in and see what we've got together. We have everything just about together. We've just got to wait for the rest of this to fall together. And it's out of our hand. It has to come to us.
And the state is 30 days late this year, because usually it's on May 5th that you lodge the abstract. And then by the 15th, we have we're through grievances by June 15th and all of that.
May 5th is the original.
I know, and that's what it
And
still, it still is what it says in the
No.
book. The current
Let
one
me-
now says June 5th.
Let me finish.
Okay?
If you understood how that works, there's an automatic 30-day that everybody in the state follows,
Yep.
including the ones that work with the state.
Yep.
Because things don't fall into place to begin with.
I know, I'm just saying. That it's usually on May 5th, it's gone to June 5th, which is fine, but the state isn't ready this year.
No, usually it isn't. It hasn't been since I've been on in 8 years. There's an automatic state extension. Get a hold of the tax department and they will explain it to you.
Sounds like it's kind of silly of the state to talk about May 5th when
No,
it's
that was-
automatically
that's-
June 5th.
That's what the legislature has in the books, and Anita was looking it up today, and I said, no, the current is for June 5th to file the abstract. You guys want 30 days beyond that, but the current is for June 5th, because that's what PBR and Department of Taxes needs. The May 5th is out of date, it's not a practical deadline anymore. It's an old, I don't know, the legislature needs to change that deadline, or the tax department.
Your issue is with the tax department,
Oh, yeah.
not the listers.
Yeah, no, I know that.
So, what would you like to do?
If they haven't got the information from the state, I make motion, we extend it to 30 days.
Second.
Is there any discussion, any further discussion on that?
And we'll do our very best to make sure it's taken care of before June 5th.
Hearing none, all those in
Hopefully,
favor? All those in favor?
if you can get them to do something.
All those in favor of signing the extension for the grand list to be
Abstract.
filed, abstract to be filed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Mike, can you make sure this gets into Anita because it actually has to be filed?
Thank you. We'll use it.
About. I'm gonna want a copy of that. He's gone, so I'll give it to Anita in the morning, make sure it's filed.
Where'd you find him?
I was hitchhiking, he picked me up.
Oh, right.
I think strangers are walking in, and, you know, I'm not really certain what that foretells. All right. And then this,
Tell him to bring his dog with him.
she'll come.
And maybe. Let's put it back on the clipboard.
You want it on the
See,
clipboard?
it's the safest place tonight.
Maybe, all right. That
Kathy
little
throws-
tip,
Kathy throws it.
unless Kathy throws it, so duck and cover.
Hey, Bob?
All right.
Peter?
Peter? Peter Rich?
Peter Gaskell.
Better gas guy.
Okay, so I'm assuming that this is Bob Spencer?
I'm Bob.
Okay.
As always.
Okay, and you're here to talk about garbage again. I hear you're
Garbage.
talking about garbage last night in Jamaica. You're going to talk about garbage tonight in
I
Townshend.
just can't get enough of it.
Oh, you just want that garbage?
You guys have.
But we have
you
plenty.
have- Right. No, when my daughter was in kindergarten, I guess the teacher goes, so what's your daddy doing? She goes, my daddy loves garbage. So when I went in to like see her, she was, I gotta ask him, what do you do? Yeah, well, do stuff no one else wants to do. This is the real garbage guy.
Oh, okay.
So,
How do you spell your name, Peter?
so Craig,
G-A-S,
Yeah?
K-I-L.
K-I-L?
Oh, yeah, two L's on the end.
K-I-L. Okay. Peter Gaskell. Okay, thank you.
so Craig stopped in the district office the other day saying you're having a meeting to talk about your options and the district, as Irv knows, and we appreciate Irv's continued help and service on the district. Many years, that is, actually. So Craig used our model RFQ, request for quotes, to get some bids. And I don't know what you got for bids, but I could help you look at them, review them, I understand you're thinking about possibly discontinuing your transfer operation. So I don't have a recommendation for you, but as Craig knows and Herb knows, the district will loan you the roll-off boxes for recycling if you're gonna continue your transfer station. If you give up the transfer station, you don't have to do recycling here in town. I guess you're all aware, Craig's probably kept you up to date on it.
Well, Earth is.
But why is the transfer station, all the haulers are not required, and the transfer stations are still required to pick up this compostable?
That's a new provision of Act 148, starting July 1. You've got to provide a bin for food waste. So if you keep the transfer station open, not only do you have to have the recycling bins, now you got to add food waste.
But the haulers don't have to take it. It was well,
the haulers have to.
They gotta.
they've taken
They
it
got a
from us,
year.
but they don't have to pick it up curbside.
Correct, curbside is.
Right, they changed that.
Yeah,
so,
that's just a 1-year reprieve the legislature did.
Yeah.
I went up to the hearing 2 weeks ago with the Senate Natural Resources when they were discussing this and testified, just from our district's perspective on how this all has been working and hasn't been working. Basically, they're gonna take up a review of Act 148 next year, and they're putting everything on the table because there's a lot of complaints, things that aren't working. There's things that are working. There's haulers that have gone into the business of food waste collection, including this hauler. There's haulers that are fighting it, you know. So I think you guys probably would be best to keep your options open right now, and not close the door on anything. So, you know, you have a transfer station, it's permitted, you provide your residents with recycling services.
We have to change the way, and I'm not speaking for the board, we have to change the way we operate up there
Yeah.
if we're going to pay to have recycling, because it can't be contaminated, as it is with you.
Well, it's nice, see, now people are gonna start paying attention to the contamination issue.
We need someone to pay attention to that. I mean,
But are the
it has
right
to be
people gonna pay attention?
Yeah, well, they're
We
bid.
can stand down here and say that we're paying attention all we want, the person that's putting it in needs to pay attention,
Right.
not us.
So it needs to be supervised, which means
And
if
someone
you're
at
only
the transfer station needs to pay
if
attention.
it's only gonna be open 2
But
days a week, then
the
it
point
needs
of
to be locked
enforcement
up
is
the
at
other
the
5.
transfer station,
You're enforcing trash.
so.
But the thing
I mean,
is,
that's like, usually enforce your kids to put the trash in the thing, not enforce us to put the
Well,
proper.
we
things
all
in the
agree
proper
there has to
spots.
be something a little bit better.
Right.
In fact, their bid, I just looked at it, has a 2% contamination level, of which there will be, I don't know, a penalty or.
I mean, they had asked for something, but
Can we move
And that's
it to like
because Casella, where they
20%?
take it, has a penalty.
Now,
Right, just all runs upstream.
Yeah,
now we got 2 bids that not one of us Sears understood, period.
Right, one was from Triple T and one was from Craig Goodman.
And it didn't address the recycling at all, that we were able to
Well,
understand.
it did to the extent that there was a cost per pickup, but we don't, of course, know how often that pickup is gonna be. And then that
No,
2%
it didn't.
contamination, that 2% contamination was part of the, was part
We
of
quoted
the.
this on cardboard and building materials.
Right, yeah,
Right.
Only.
but not on single stream or,
That's right.
or food scrap or.
So.
Right, and you had indicated that we could possibly mix, or I understood that we could possibly mix all the recycling, I guess it was Kristen, that we could mix the recycling into a single stream, put the paper in with the bottles and cans, or the cardboard in with the paper, however that was gonna work. I don't know that we have to take it all, and I don't know that we have to segregate it all. But our experience has been that much of it has been contaminated, and you know that as well as anybody, we drag it into you, or you're hauling it in.
yeah. I mean, we deal with it, and
Yeah.
it's not, you're not any worse than
Okay.
other towns, so.
Alright.
So one of the things that, did you put the organic bags in
I
this?
didn't.
Well, one thing that's been,
Because actually the organics wasn't in their bid.
oh, that's right, it wasn't in the bid, because
That was a bid to you.
we
You
did a
put out your
bid
right.
on behalf of the towns for organics, but not enough towns agreed to do it, so it wasn't worth it, because the prices were based on all the towns. So we've tried to do a regional approach, believe me. So what I was getting to is, for the food waste collection, well, you talk about it, it's your proposal, but it's not here, but
Well, sure. I mean, first off, I think we have a pretty complete bid for offering the recycling services. You know, in the cover letter, last year, there were 73 roll-offs that were full of recyclables to the tune of 114 tons. I offered the potential of using a 30-yard roll-off box, which would cut down on the number of hauls, because of course it's a third larger than what the covered roll-off boxes are. So the 73 roll-offs would get dropped down to less than that. 49, yeah. So then, you know, and in the little blank space, I wrote, a haul is $140. So 49 times 140 potentially is what the cost of.
Right, that was part of where the confusion was, because we were comparing apples and oranges and change-ups, and we're familiar with the boxes that they bring.
I mean, you can keep the same boxes, it's fine.
Right, it just means more hauling.
It just means more hauling, correct. And then, in regards to the processing, for us we'll bring recycling to Brattleboro, to our transfer station, where it'll get held with all other recyclables that come in and reloaded into tractor trailers, and then shipped to Rutland. And so for accomplishing that, there's a charge of $40 a ton. And then the receiving facility either will pay you, depending on the value of the commodities, or charge you, and that's just a straight pass-through. Whatever the credit is, you get, and whatever the charge is, you pay. And that's
So 145 for a 30-yard container plus 45 a ton per tipping fee.
40.
40.
40, correct. And then whatever the processing facility charges. I can say in March, they paid $9 a ton, so that 40 became 31.
Okay.
And then in April, that $9 became, you pay $6, so that 40 became 46. It's volatile, and that's the reason that the district has had issues with their budgets, trying to forecast what their expenses and revenues are gonna be a year ahead.
And that's just based on the saleability of
Right.
what's in the containers, right?
Exactly.
It's commodity.
Whatever the commodity values are, correct?
But on that 30-yard box, so you're looking at mixed recyclables?
It would be right, it would be the single stream method, so all the paper and the containers would be in one container.
Bottles and cans would be another.
Bottles and cans would be another. You know, there's a certain amount of maximizing the space. The covers now kind of inhibit maybe filling it all the way. And so that might, you know, cut down on some hauls more, 1 or 2 perhaps a year, but that's, you know, $300, so.
could they pack the single stream boxes?
Thank you. You know, that also was another opportunity with the town yard right there. They can tamp the box. To
Push it down with backhoe.
Yeah.
Water doesn't matter, snow doesn't matter, that?
I'm not, well, I mean, we'll have a tarp probably on PVC pipe that intended to need to roll over and back.
Okay.
Well, it does if it holds 4 tons of water going down the road.
Yeah, sure, but it's
And
not
the
a
paper absorbs a lot of water.
But not only that,
I mean,
it's open for 4 or 5 days, and it rains and snows, and you get all that stuff.
Fair enough, you can keep the same containers.
Well, you're gonna pay one way or the other, and again, if you
No,
if you have a tarp and you have a roll cover and you have an attendant that'll keep it covered during snow and during rain, then maybe you can keep some of the much of the moisture out. Well, that's a subject for a later discussion tonight, but that's a subject, it depends on
We
what
gotta
you
work
guys.
with what we have
Well,
first.
depends on where you're going with this.
So what I was also pointing out is the option of using these special bags to put the food waste in, it could go with the trash. And if you wanna explain
Sure,
that.
I mean, there's a,
The compactor doesn't break the bags open too badly.
yeah, I mean, there's breakage. I mean, it's a new compostable bag.
Right.
It's supposed to be heavy duty. It's, you know, and it allows you to put it within your regular refuse. And then, you know, when it gets to the transfer station, they would get separated. The compost would go into a box to get brought to the district, and then the trash.
Well, we have a rear loader compactor. We put the purple bags in there. When the scooper comes down and
Sure.
packs it in there, they get torn apart, and it seems,
There's a certain finesse to that. I mean, if you want to break a bag open with a packer, you certainly can.
yeah.
And if you want to just scoop it in, you can certainly do that as well.
Okay, I've never run it. So
But there is some compaction breakage.
yeah,
Right.
It depends.
but that's acceptable.
It's
Because the
acceptable.
majority stays in the
That's
bag.
right. The point is that you don't have to have a separate.
We don't have to have the bear-proof box.
We
Exactly.
have a airproof compactor.
But we
We don't know how many
do,
people are going to participate either.
we do have the grant, we do also have the grant to buy you barefoot proof 2-yard dumpster. if you had a hauler that could pick it up.
Right.
But that gets expensive if
That's-
all the 8
that's
towns
significantly
are.
So if we don't, we get the 2-yard dumpster and nobody can pick it up?
You wouldn't do it.
They're not required to pick it up.
Yeah, it just sits there. No, it's a composter.
Denny?
Yeah, right.
How much of the, you talked about the recyclable bags, the compost bags, and I've used those and I'm not overly impressed, at least the smaller ones for little kitchen.
Sure. The particular spin on these is they're heavier duty, made for this purpose. So it's not your household compostable bag that you, because sure, those bags get wet for 3 or 4 days now, they start to disintegrate already.
They're $1.50 each,
The cost is $1.50.
but the residents would have to buy them.
Oh, I understand that. The residents, after tonight is over, the residents are not going to like any of this.
None of this.
Right.
We're all gonna be on the list.
So what size is that bag? Is it like a 5-gallon bag, a 10-gallon bag?
33, and they also have a larger bag.
How do you
33
pick
gallon.
up 33
That's my next question.
gallons of slop?
That's how heavy duty the millimeter thickness on these bags is.
But we have to consider residents being able to
To
pick
pick
this
them
up.
up, yeah.
Bring them.
Can we buy them from our
They don't
supplier
have to
if
put
they?
30
Yeah, they would
pounds
supply
worth of
you.
stuff.
I mean, we have a supplier in North Carolina, you probably use the same, or other people do as well.
These
Or do
are
we
a
buy them?
special bag,
Well, I mean, if they're compostable,
but put them in the packer.
you want a bag,
Well,
certain, you want a
I mean,
consistent chain of
essentially,
custody.
you could just put in any biodegradable bag, and if it breaks,
As long as
it
it's
breaks.
certified biodegradable, and it's a
Yeah.
heavy mill, we're not gonna wanna sell anything that's gonna come apart in somebody's house.
Right.
So, I mean, we would have the heaviest mill, but $1.50 a bag, we want to. But then, cornstarch compostable bags are pretty
They're more
expensive to begin
expensive
with.
anyways.
Right, no, I know. But I mean, is that something we can shop, or do we have to go?
There's hardly any companies making the
Okay.
heavy duty one. But there's nothing in the state law that says you couldn't use a lighter duty bag and just have more breakage. I mean, it's kind of counterproductive to separating it.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to sell citizens 2 different bags at 2 different prices.
Right.
But if they have to segregate them, they have
Do
to
they
segregate.
buy their bags down here?
They buy them here
And
at
at the-
the 2 markets and out in West
Right.
Townsend at the center out there. So we have 4 locations they
It
can
would
buy
be
them.
another bag, you're right. If to use those special.
But it would be lower priced probably than the general refuse bag, so that would encourage.
Are you
Right.
250? 250?
We're at 250 now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we're looking at hauling recycling here, so that 250 is gonna go somewhere else, and attendance is gonna be different, plus we're gonna have to either lock this down 5 days, we're only open 2 days a week. It's gonna have to be closed down for recycling the other 5 days.
That's right, or you'll get everyone else.
Or we'll, no, but
Right,
right
we're
now,
not
people
People
Yeah,
would just,
people
yeah, people
recycle.
already just throw.
People
whatever.
recycle when the highway garage is open, and those guys are out on the roads, doing the roads. People stop in 7 o'clock in the morning empty, and we don't have an attendant there. We either have to staff it 6 days a week, or we have to be open 2 days a week and either gate that off, fence that off, or put padlocks on the box doors, or however that works. We're gonna have to shut that down, or we will get an awful lot, we will get more than 2% contamination now. We'll get as
Yeah.
much, when people have to spend $4 or $5 a bag, we're gonna get a lot more contamination in the recycling. Because the
Right,
recycling
instead
is
of trash.
Right. Although the fact that the organic bags are cheaper will encourage people to use more of them than,
Possibly, a slop
I would
bucket is a
think.
slop bucket, whether it's
Well,
got a bag
I
in
can
it or
tell
not.
you, in Brattleboro, where they've had the curbside collection of organics,
Mm-hmm.
they've had it for 3 years, 4 years. People really, instead of buying the $3 purple bag that the town sells, they put out their organics. Now it's collected at the curb and you can use buckets and things like that, but it really, and same in Vernon, where we have curbside trash. People are bringing their compost to the drop-off spot. We fill two cubic yard roll-offs every week, so 4 cubic yards a week from Vernon.
Through the whole town?
That's just people bringing it to drop-off, just like I'm,
That isn't that much, I mean, you make it sound like the.
Those people hauling themselves curbside must be.
yeah. So there's no curbside collection,
Oh, there isn't, okay.
but that's quite a bit of material.
I mean, at the same time,
Just strictly your compostable stuff, 4 yards.
I don't think we're gonna generate 150 pounds a week here,
So
I mean, just,
A lot of people have the opportunity to compost in their backyard.
Right.
Compost it, it can't be.
It's still not.
Yeah, generally,
It's the-
I feel like
it's
the
the
people who
niche that
want to
you don't want.
compost already are.
What you don't want, right, what you don't want to compost in your backyard, you want to go to a commercial compost facility. That's the, you know, the people that are motivated to do that, that's probably what you're gonna.
We
do.
find more people using the drop-off sites in the winter when they can't use their backyard.
That's exactly right, because you
Yeah.
know what that entails? I'll tell you what that entails. That entails walking out on the ice, falling and breaking your back.
Or shoveling a path out to your.
I would have preferred that to falling and breaking
That's
my
true.
back.
So those, there's a lot of factors here, and you're not gonna make.
We're not gonna make any
people happy.
friends.
Right, the compostables that you get rid of are not compostable, basically. I mean, they're the bones, they're the carcasses,
Right.
they're the.
They're commercially compostable,
Right.
but no home garden.
That's right.
stuff.
And same with our composting program at the solid waste district, we take soil paper and cardboard, pizza boxes. So you actually do like, if it was just food, it would take a while to fill up 2 cubic yards. If you have put in, you know, paper and cardboard, so you get 2 yards a lot faster because it's bulky.
Yeah,
And
you're
it's
gonna-
very much lighter weight.
You allow people to do that. You're gonna get plastic in there, you're gonna get all kinds of stuff.
We get
Styrofoam.
everything.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what are you finding for contamination rates on the compostables?
It's actually not bad. In fact, I started screening today. We rent a screen and I'm screening, probably got 4,000 yards that I'll screen in the next couple weeks. And the amount of contamination, and I get it from commercial routes that Triple T has and Goodenough has and the residential and schools. And with education, I've got to tell you, we don't have a huge problem with it. And we can make a marketable product out of it. That's the amazing thing.
Right.
It's very, I screened to 3/8 of an inch.
Mhm.
So it's a nice product, but I do get, you know,
So if I bring like a half rotten cow carcass down here, can I stuff it in that 2-yard dumpster?
it depends if your attendant's on duty or not.
I was just wondering.
Not yet.
Go on, dude, it doesn't make any.
It'll compost, you get it in there, yeah, we'll
Oh, I
compost.
know what a compost stuff.
Compost anything just about that's living. Or it was.
Or was.
Right.
All right, anybody have any questions? Any?
And I'd be glad, Craig, to sit down with you and go through numbers or whatever to try to narrow these things down, but,
Did you bring a proposal to us today that we could look at?
I'm not bidding on this, I'm just here
I
to,
gave you a proposal 2 or
Yeah,
3
we
weeks
have the
ago.
proposal through.
so you got good enough for recycling?
Yep, we just need to compare, and
Right.
again, it was, our familiarity, and again, the board doesn't go out there and
Right.
isn't running it, but our familiarity is with the boxes, recycling boxes that you provide. We obviously have our own compactor and haul everything else. And when you change to a different size box, it makes a difference, I mean, in how we figure the pricing. I mean, the tonnage obviously is
So
something
like-
different, but in how we apply that, because you can't charge for recycling, it's free if you're a transfer station. And yet you've got to recover your costs, because our attendant is gonna cost more.
That's right.
And our expenses are gonna be more, and the taxpayer is either gonna take a hit or it isn't. And if the taxpayer doesn't take the hit, then we have to raise the price on bags. But it means that the people that are dropping off their purple bags and now buying food scrap bags are gonna be paying for the recycling. Which means we also need to keep commercial entities out of the recycling area. I mean, you need an attendant that is actually paying attention. And Kurt needs to educate the population.
I don't see why you need to subsidize the compost bag, because it's gonna go in the,
Maybe not the compost bag, but the recycling is gonna have to be paid for, right?
sure.
That hauling fee is.
What did good enough propose to you?
Nothing I understood.
I go pull some paper out of here.
Was it good enough for Triple T that was,
They
it
both,
was like building materials, cardboard, and
I
that
don't
was
I
it?
remember.
think Triple T was that.
Construction?
Triple T
Yeah,
said,
yeah, have
but
the construction
keep it
facility.
separate, yeah.
Did you get on the construction?
Yeah, I mean, it's all in there.
Yeah,
Sure.
it was all there.
Now, what about leaves and brush now? Is that it?
We have a spot for that.
All right. That's the other thing you have to have in place. You've had that for a while.
We have one lonely Christmas tree up there that's been there for 2 years. That's
It's
it.
more composting, but
It's composting.
Yeah, now they bought blocks and everything and put them up there.
So it's working out for us.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
Listen,
most people have big backyards, so they can.
Yeah. Or a brook.
Yeah, part of our issue though is we just have some limited space out there at the station. And the more the state keeps expanding this into different areas, thank you, the more difficult it gets for us to be able to accommodate space-wise.
It must have been 5 years ago, Craig will remember, or we spent some time looking at another spot for a transfer station.
Right,
And,
okay, so yeah, so we had, okay, the municipal. I'm not sure what they're saying here. Okay, the municipal solid waste was 105, this is good enough.
Good enough.
Was 175 for the haul, and the disposal was $100 a ton. And
Do
it
I
goes-
have those on board here?
no, somebody made a photocopy, so we're ahead of the game.
Steve.
Construction was 175 to haul and $100 to dispose of. Then we came down to cardboard at 150, nothing for disposal, and then there was a rental fee. So that's all we really had.
all right, so on recycling, this is good enough?
Yeah,
150 a haul for paper and cardboard and no fee, other than hauling.
and that was, it actually doesn't even say mixed paper, it just says cardboard. At 100 plus no disposal.
See, so that's the dual stream approach.
Yeah.
So there is a difference to consider there. So, because Good Enough has their own paper and cardboard baling operation
Okay.
in Brattleboro. So they're in the business of selling it, whereas Triple T transfers and hauls.
Right.
There's a difference.
Okay.
So, anyways, if you have other questions, Craig knows where to find us.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I'm sure we will.
good luck, and it's a lot to consider.
Well, yeah, and I do appreciate the fact that you've taken your time on our behalf to go up and talk to the legislature about this. But again, these mandates come down with no guidelines, no
That's no money.
No money.
anything, just a demand.
Well, it's a one-size-fits-all approach.
It
What makes sense in Burlington
In
or
Burlington
Brattleboro
and-
for Bennington doesn't make sense necessarily.
And
Exactly.
they have come up with waivers and exemptions, and they're under pressure to do more, so they're gonna amend this law. I would almost guarantee it. Hopefully to give some relief.
I was gonna say before or after they put us in a lot of business.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Well, this isn't the only thing the state is doing, or monkeying around with to make life.
No, they're having
Challenging.
they're having a good time.
Yeah.
Yep, well, Peter had an unannounced inspection at his transfer station. They had 2 people from Montpelier.
Oh,
I've had
that's
several, they come in, you know, there is enforcement on this, so, you know, we're all under the same pressure.
I'm sure we'd meet muster
Oh,
on
yeah,
Saturday
we-
at 2 o'clock,
We certainly would, yes, mhm.
especially if there's a ball game on.
No problem.
Yeah. no
Not an
problem at all.
issue.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so, we decided at the last meeting that we were going to have an answer one way or another so that people had an opportunity to make whatever adjustments they needed to make to their lives
Yep.
to deal with this. And this is our last meeting before the 30-day window that we need to give them, so what's your pleasure?
I don't know, my thought is, it seems like there might be some saving with a larger bin.
Well, and that's fine, but let's put a motion on the table to have the discussion.
Oh. I would move that we discuss,
No?
no,
You can move that we're going to retain the transfer station, or retain the transfer station in the town of Townsend's name,
or go out of the
Well, no, you can't do any.
Right, and there are we just reapplied for a transfer station permit, and there are a host of requirements that attend being permitted by the state. We meet the muster. That having been said, we have I think 9 years or 8 years, probably 8 years remaining on a 10-year permit. But the motion would be, I would assume, would be to
retain it.
To retain the transfer station operations. I'd make it an annual. I'd revisit this in a year, certainly, see how this year goes, especially if costs are questionable.
Right.
But I would, from July 1st, 2017 to July 1st or June 30th, 2018, something I wouldn't commit from that. There may be changes on the board, but there's certainly going to be changing circumstances, and I think everybody expects that the legislature is going to address some of the.
Yeah, it sounds like they're looking at it.
The criticism.
Already,
I mean, a lot of places are going out of business. Well,
Yeah.
that's not convenient to people who work out of town and
Exactly.
can't get off the hill or can't have curbside pickup on the hill. So, anyway, I'm not,
So anyway,
I can't make a motion, but.
no, so, I mean, is the motion then to retain the transfer station for the period of 1 year?
Continue
Yeah.
operation.
Right.
Continue it for the year and revisit it.
You don't have to revisit, just
Yeah.
continue it for 1 year.
All right, then I move to retain the transfer station in the name of the town of Townsend for 1 year.
Fiscal year 18.
One fiscal year, 2018.
Okay, so is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Now's the
Now we
time.
can talk about it. Well, so there is some savings to be had if we go with a larger container, if I'm understanding that correctly.
The savings we'll only get it if we can have it undercover, because
Right.
you'll be hauling water,
You'll be home
and
alone.
you'll be paying for that water. That's the problem with having an open container.
Okay.
You're gonna have two containers, you're gonna have 30 cubic yard for plastic and bottles and the 30 for paper and cardboard.
Okay.
And you would have a little one for food if the food doesn't go in the compactor and compost.
But I think on that list they had down there, they had us for 130, I don't know, 220s or something.
For the containers we have now.
He said 145 per haul, but it's gonna hold a third more than what we've got now. And then there'd be a tipping fee of $40 a ton on the tipping fee, but then you get a credit for whatever it's worth.
It's saleable, right.
Right, the saleable, which will vary
Mhm.
from week to week or month to month.
So in that case, the tonnage remains the same, but there are fewer hauls, assuming we can keep water out.
Well, the thing is,
Or am I just
your
not?
tonnage
understanding
might
this?
not, same if you make it just so that strictly Townsend people use it.
Mhm.
Well, so that you don't have the businesses feeding into it either.
Right.
That'll make a huge difference,
Yeah.
Mhm.
if that's important.
But that goes to attendant supervision.
Exactly.
Yep.
Maybe have a sticker on your car or something cheap, but.
I think we
Yeah,
tried
I know
that
that.
once, about 25, 30 years ago. They had tons of content.
Yeah, we had stickers up and
I got one on my Jeep.
Yeah.
It's time for a new Jeep.
So yes, I mean, basically we could go back to the stickers. The only people with stickers, since sounds like we would potentially be changing bags. I doubt seriously we can get purple cornstarch bags for the,
Think we get green cornstarch bags?
I don't know, this liable to be confused with somebody else's bags. Somebody's already got green, we have purple. That's our.
Yeah.
Probably,
Brattleboro's purple too?
Yeah.
that's what he said tonight.
Yeah, there. Yeah, I've seen them.
Good, we take all our purple bags to Brattleboro, except they say Townsend on them, but anyway.
Well, they got
Yeah, so in order to do the compostable bag to go in the compactor, you'd have to do a sticker or something, otherwise you'd never know whether or not they are.
And again, a lot of it will come down to enforcement, and a lot of it will come down to locking the facility when there's not somebody there to oversee it.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, unless you put a fence up, you ain't gonna be able to lock it.
That's true, because anybody can go up and over it or around the pipe.
We could go on about that, Irvin, till the cows come home. I mean, there's a million different what ifs, could ifs, and ifs. If we're gonna go on that, we might as well scrap the whole thing and call it
Well, I'll tell you
Good
something,
enough.
I was there, and people will leave their goddamn stuff, and the town costs them money.
Did I say that they weren't done?
Well, no, but you've got to do something to stop it. There is an ordinance in this town, it's been in here since 1968, I believe it is. They don't have to set any trash that come across the town line.
So that doesn't matter. If nobody's there to enforce it, they can have all the rules in the world that they want. It doesn't matter.
What I'm saying is.
If
that's
it's
what-
not enforced, you can have a million rules. It does not
That's
matter.
why I said you'd have to fence it so the days it won't open be locked.
Right. So you could restrict the access, but.
Whatever.
Again, you know, now you get into the logistics of how are you going to secure it, and,
Right.
you know, you've got the highway crew going in and out of there with the trucks, you know, to load and unload salt, sand, whatnot. I mean, it would be a logistic nightmare, there's no
Yeah.
two ways about it.
Yeah.
With the roll-offs that we have now, they do have doors on them. Granted, they're plastic and they don't always have doors, but they generally have doors, and
Which
they
could
are
be
lockable. They are padlockable, and
Yeah.
you'd have to buy 6 padlocks per dumpster.
Well, you could,
And then you'd lose them.
couldn't you just run a cable through all of them and lock it?
Yeah, possibly, they'd still slide though. They
Well,
are sliding.
Yeah, you'd have to
I
loop
mean,
it.
and that would be kind of a nuisance. That having been said, if you went to the larger container, the 30-yard, that's gonna be an open top, and it's only gonna have a plastic tarp on a PVC that
Right.
goes back, and anybody can access that. So as Irv said, you'd wanna fence that area off, or you'd want to put up signage, you're gonna wanna do cameras.
Wire, or would we put chain link with razor wire on the top and maybe a canopy on it? I mean, what exactly would we, you know?
Put it in the garage.
It'd be
put
harder
the
for people to
trucks
break out than it would to be breaking in.
Put them in the garage, and take
You
the
know?
trucks out.
I mean, let's get real about it. It's trash.
Don't kid yourself, they broke in before too.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be harder to break out than it would to be breaking in.
So, again, the question on the table is to whether or not to extend the transfer station by 1 year.
Is that with a chain link fence 8 feet tall, razor wire on it?
I
or
don't
is
know,
without?
that wasn't specified.
Oh, well, I mean, we gotta kinda get to the nuts and bolts of what we're gonna secure this little puppy down with, more than,
Well, you have another big issue, which we'll talk about separately in executive session as well.
Okay, well,
Tonight,
Tonight.
we built into next year's budget last fall. We added $16,000 to the budget for anticipated costs of recycling. If you say that 145 is really 175, because it's 145 per haul plus $40 a ton, you're gonna get a little back on it. And you say it's gonna be 50 times a year. You were saying instead of 73 times, it's gonna be 49, but you call it 50. But anyway, 175 per haul, times 50 times a year, times 2 boxes, you're looking at 17,005. We threw 16 into the budget, extra 16. So it's pretty close to being funded. Now, with that, you also budgeted 12,300 for attendant wages, 14,225 and a quarter for the assessment, tipping fees at 15,000, and we're still gonna be taking the compactor down, other expenses at about 1,000. So, that 16 helps offset what Peter was talking about in terms of the hauling on that 30-yard. As you said, there's an economy of scale.
Right.
Unless you end up with a lot more recycling. And that 175, you know, really turns into 195 or 200. But it's close. They're gonna have to maybe raise the bags fees a bit in order to cover. And that's probably something you're gonna do anyway, if you stay in this.
And then that would be using the organic bags.
Well, the organic bags, you probably
Yeah.
sell them at cost. If you're paying $1.50 for them for the town, you probably sell them for $1.50.
Mhm.
That would encourage people. If the $2.50 bag went to, I don't know, I'm just making a number, $3.50, then people would probably want to put their food in the cheaper bag.
Right. And we could use the same distribution system.
But it's all gonna go to
for
the
those.
compactor, and that tipping fee isn't gonna change much, and those are already built in based on last year's numbers. Presumably, the recycling would go up as people use the compactor less. But we haven't seen that happen since we started selling bags. It's remained about the same.
That's interesting.
You know, but there again, you know, the whole concept of putting those recyclable bags into the compactor along with other trash, which there will be. You still have other
Yeah,
trash
you still
other
have-
than just your food scraps. I don't see then people buying the purple bags
And
at
putting the
$3.50.
plastic in that, and then buying the wood food bag for $1.50 and putting just food in that instead of putting the plastic in without at $1.50.
Right.
I agree,
If that was going in the bear-proof container and you had an attendant looking in the bag, that's one thing, but if it's all going in the compactor, the bags are breaking open, as I said, that's another.
you know, so I don't see a whole lot of,
It doesn't go toward the purpose of doing the composting.
no, it does not. So,
Now, if the town kept Peggy's compost pile plowed out, could we
there you
use that
go,
for?
you can all use that, and just don't slip
So
on the
it wasn't
ice on my
icing?
property.
If we salt your yard?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd really rather not. No.
I don't know, my personal feeling is that if we were to not have the transfer station, I think it would open up way more problems than having it. Again, like you say, Kathy, there's no good answer here.
No,
I'm not a member of the board, but I'm gonna throw it out there. If you do it for a year and you decide in 6 months that people aren't behaving and it's all contaminated and it's costing more than you think it is, you can pull the plug. You're the select board.
There's that to consider.
I mean, if the numbers don't crunch, I don't know, I think if you raise the price of bags, or whatever it is, if you try to educate people to use 2 different bags, and you raise the price of the bag that they're used to substantially, I think we're gonna lose some business. I think you're gonna have more contamination. I think that the supervision is gonna have to be top-notch.
Yeah, I agree.
And as Rob mentioned, we used to have, I guess, I never bought one, but I do remember those little green stickers that people had in their cars. Townshend compactor.
I think that we can do anything that we want to do, but if nobody's there to attend the situation at hand, when it comes to the drop-off point, we're pissing in the wind.
yep,
And that's the second part of this.
Yes.
I mean, depending on what you do with this motion, that's a consequence of.
I mean, for all.
I don't know, I still feel like we should keep it and at least take a shot at it.
Well, we could certainly
know.
do that, but I also know from a private homeowner standpoint that it's my responsibility to get rid of my household trash, and I pay $42 a month to do so.
Mhm.
And I think, Rob, you've got a compact, or a dumpster. I know Kyle did when he was on the board. I don't know about the rest of you, whether or not you
I use the dumpster at work.
use the dumpster at work.
Yeah.
So in other words,
Am I the only one that uses the transfer station?
'95.
Huh?
I've been hiring it done since '95.
yeah, you
I
know,
might take bottles up here
Right.
because my hauler now's got a small truck and sometimes he has to crunch it right out in front of my driveway.
and you'd rather not have the glass.
Have the glass.
Yeah, I don't want the glass, so I bring it up and put it in the big dumpster.
I'll leave mine at the
I
library.
thought you were gonna say you had like a half-full bottle and you didn't wanna get it crushed and dumping out or something.
But, you know, I mean, there are other ways to do it. I mean, there's a personal responsibility here as well. So I do, you know, I don't object to trying it for a while and seeing if it's going to work. But my biggest concern is educating the citizenry and knowing that it's going to cost a fair chunk of change to do a mailing to everybody, to every household, so they know what's going on and what's happening, and if the bags are going up, or the bags are, they have to now have 2 kinds of bags, or whatever we decide on, that making that commitment and then turning around in 6 months and saying, isn't gonna work. We're gonna have to do it for a year. We're not gonna be able to pull the plug.
At town meeting, the select board asked the voters to approve $420,300 for the running expenses of the town. That budget, which includes some extra money for recycling, is almost 60 of it. That's $58,500. It's a big chunk of
The municipal budget.
it's a big chunk of the municipal budget, and for people who, like Kathy or Joe, who don't use that, or Steve, who don't use that, you're paying that in taxes. And then well, it's not equitable anyway, I don't have kids in the school. But you know what I mean, you're paying twice.
Yeah,
And-
but you
and-
should be paying it taxes, you should be getting return enough on your bags and stuff, so you're not paying it taxes.
Well, we are getting revenues back on the bags, so I mean, that does make a difference, but this is what we're raising in taxes, we do get money back on the bags, which covers the expenses outside of recycling. Now, this year, we raised $16,000 for recycling services, and we should be recovering that, so. But it's a juggling with the money.
So the motion on the table right now is to continue the transfer station for 1 year. Is there any other discussion on that? No. All right.
I mean, well, to a certain point, I mean, what are you gonna do about keeping the wrong things out of the right spots?
Well, that's going to go to the attendant, but because that position is currently filled, that will have to be an executive session discussion.
Yeah, but more or less, more than the attendant, what are you gonna do about keeping it secure if we go?
Oh,
for
okay,
a year?
you mean as far as,
Yeah.
as the security itself? Well, that's something, that's part of this discussion before we vote. We really do need to know what the plan would be.
Well, I mean, that's as much of a situation as, I mean, all the other infrastructure is in place except for a secure spot.
That's right.
So you fence in 3 dumpsters.
Once you fence them in, well, how are you gonna keep them clean when it comes snow time and any of the other stuff?
Right, see, that's part of the problem.
They're gonna have a brand new payloader when they pull a dumpster out.
Not for a year.
Well, they have an older payloader that I'm sure works fine.
You can't, now you're putting more of a burden on a burdened out situation.
Well, maybe the burdened out situation needs to be fixed.
Oh boy, we're gonna be here
Well,
all
it
day long at this
is,
rate.
it is
Holy
certainly,
Christ.
it's certainly the most viable option, because I don't think you want to keep the transfer station open and staffed, 5 days a week, or whatever
No.
that might take, so.
We
I
can't
don't think the
afford it.
volume, well, you can't afford it, the volume isn't gonna be there.
There's just not much room out there to do that. To be able
I mean,
to
if there's a
secure
way of
it.
locking the dumpsters closed, that's one thing, but as Irv says, they'll break into anything you can. But again, we do need a newer and more accurate surveillance system out there, I think that's part of the queue as a matter of highway budget, for the
Yeah,
building.
but if you have a surveillance system and nobody wants to look at the surveillance system.
Well, the surveillance system
isn't
can be
doing
made
anything.
Wi-Fi, so it comes right to your computer.
Yeah.
And then you can look at it in real time. I mean,
You
it
watch it
doesn't
on your
have-
phone all day, every
It
day.
wasn't very easy to look at. and
I
nobody
know,
was looking at it, so.
I've got days involved in looking at it, that's a pain. That said, and if you can't lock the dumpsters individually as they are, then as, Stephen, you've got to fence it, and somehow or other you've got to be able to work that so that whoever's hauling can get in there easily enough, pull out the old one, or have the old one out and get a new one in there. And that may require the highway crew to use some piece of equipment and actually be active in maintaining the area.
I don't think the truck has to be fenced in, just the 3 dumpsters.
Just the 3 dumpsters would
Yeah.
have to be, well, 2
Would be
dumpsters
2,
actually,
yeah.
cardboard and glass, so I mean, basically, paper and then containers. So you'd have 2 bigger dumpsters that would fit probably, then take up less room than the 3 that are there right now. And if that were the case, then maybe you could fence it conveniently, with a big swing gate of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't think the fencing would have to be any longer than that room, and I think you could have a gate wide enough,
That
double
dumpster-
gate that.
And dumpsters gonna fill a lot faster than they have been. Cause you're putting everything in them, tin, glass, paper,
Well, as you said, you got a backhoe,
Oh, yeah.
you got a backhoe with a bucket, go push it down, squash it.
Yep.
Most of this right now is air. You know that, I mean, a
Absolutely.
plastic liter bottle doesn't take up any room at all, absolutely none. And yet, it's the air in the container that
But
fills.
do we really think that we're gonna get that much more recycling than we do now?
We shouldn't if you have an attendant. I mean, I think
Right.
people will recycle. If you don't have the attendant supervising, then yes, people are not gonna put, I mean, they're gonna contaminate those containers.
Right.
And at that 2% level, I don't remember what triple tip, but it was almost a doubling of the tipping fee.
Yeah, I think it was an extra $100.
Yeah, it's an extra $100 if it's more than 2%. 2% is nothing when it comes to a
That's true.
30-yard dumpster full of paper. And I don't know if that's 2% by weight or 2% by volume, but 2% is not a lot.
I'm sure it's weight.
Yeah.
So, again, what's your pleasure?
Well, was discussion over?
That's my question.
Yeah.
Did the question about securing it get answered to the point where you're comfortable enough to make a decision? And that's the
I mean,
question.
we're gonna have to have the road crew guys.
Well, I think fencing will cost what, $5,000? Ballpark, take a shot. I mean, I didn't put up a chain link fence, but it's gotta be expensive to be real.
That's true.
But it's not a big, I mean, it's no bigger than half this room, I wouldn't think. I can't imagine that being much more than $5,000 professionally installed. But then again, I could be wrong. We could lease a little piece of land somewhere else, but I don't think that's gonna work.
No.
Well, are we done with the discussion? I hear a fly.
Well, the consequences of closing it are that suddenly in 30 days, everybody who is using it now needs to be contacted and let know that they're gonna have to find an
something to do with their
alternative,
garbage.
pretty much in a hurry.
Yep.
Because even no matter how you do it, you have a lot of second homeowners who come out and buy their bag because they're here in July that aren't necessarily gonna be contacted in the next 30 days or 40 days or whatever it is. Even if you do a mass mailing, they're not gonna, well, half the box holders over here throw it in the recycling without reading it when you do a mass mailing. But all of a sudden, you're just not gonna have anything there. No bins, no compact.
No, you're gonna find that businesses are gonna end up with people in the middle of the night
There's
trying to stick.
there are some small businesses that use it, but it actually makes a volume.
No, I'm thinking about the other businesses where
Yeah.
people will try to put their garbage in the business dumpster.
And no matter what you do, the town still generate the fire department, this building, the library, the highway garage, we develop, we're gonna have to get a dumpster for ourselves. The municipality's gonna have to have a dumpster of its own, curbside pickup kind of thing.
If that means, if you get a dumpster for it, unless you get one that goes on a roll off, you're gonna pay extra to come up with a.
Well, we can continue to use our own compactor, it would just be for municipal use. Kurt would, as Kathy and I were talking, Kurt would still come down, once or twice a week, pick up at the library, pick up here, get the trash out of here, the kitchen, and the recycling and all that, take it out, put it in the compactor. It's not gonna fill up very quickly, but the municipality would be covered, at least in the short term, by that. You can throw it in the pickup truck and drive it to Brattleboro for all that matters, but if you want to sell the compactor. But nobody knows where the changes are going in the next year, and you don't wanna.
No, but also, I'm really.
Go out of business and then try to get back into it.
I was just gonna ask, if we closed it, would we have to re-permit to reopen it?
It's probable that if you close, well, yes, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't be documenting every quarter how much tonnage and all of that. There'd be a level of violation of not reporting. You'd have to say, we're not reporting anymore because you know what, we're not reporting anymore, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there'd be something permanent about it. No, we're taking a break, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is you never know what next maggot is going to be squirreling around up in Montpelier. And it could go from bad to worse.
They're not gonna make it a lot easier. I mean, they're not gonna.
No.
Once they find out that, 15% of the towns have problems or something like that, they're gonna say it's a shame, too bad, but you know what? It worked for 85. Maybe we need to help those 15 or something, but somehow or other, they'll figure it out because they have to. And if it costs them more, well, that's the cost of living in the country where you don't have city services, kind of thing. And it's a premium.
And that's just what I'm afraid of is gonna come back if we do.
But we're already paying a premium for the
Right.
luxuries we enjoy here.
So, are we done with discussion? Okay. So all those in favor of continuing operation of the transfer station for the FY18 Years signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Oh, Lord.
I don't think you can break that tie, Kathy.
I don't, I try.
So you got 3 abstentions?
I
I'm
don't
pretty
have
much
any-
hung on the part where, you know, if we get into all these regulations and all of a sudden everything's, I mean, we have proved straight out in the last years that we cannot regulate any part of that whole entire situation there, except for possibly the bags going into that compactor. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
So it's like, right off the bat, 2% shot right out the window. And who knows how much it's gonna cost in the backlog of that. So then we get into the part where we're gonna take and we're gonna close the building up. Well, now we've gotta still maintain around that. That's not gonna be any easy feat.
No, it's not. Not with
You're
a
gonna,
fence.
I mean,
And
we're
drips.
we're opening a book that's, I don't think that we're gonna be able to get in and around. I mean, we've shown, it's hard for me to stand here and say, yes, I'm interested in going along with this right here, when we've seen, the only way to judge the future is by what's gone on in the past with that, and we've proven that the people in this community can't properly recycle. Right or not? I mean,
Well, they can't or don't want to.
well, whatever it is.
That's
I
a
would
big
go with
thing, I
can't,
thought.
because it's not, you know, it hasn't
They
been
don't
shown.
understand the importance.
So we're not,
They're not educated in what's going on in the world today.
well, if you're not educated by now, then you're probably not gonna be educated in the means of,
I disagree. People's behaviors can change by force, and if you had an attendant, and cutting to the chase, you're gonna need, if you stay open, you need a new attendant. You need somebody to supervise this properly. And that's just going to the bottom line. Somebody has to watch what's going into the recycling bins, even if they're open containers and you're only open 2 days a week. Somebody has to be out of that shed. Somebody needs to come and put a bag on a table, and the attendant needs to put it in there after looking inside the bag. I mean, that's basically what it's gonna amount to, until people learn to.
Until they learn that that's gonna happen.
You're gonna end up with
so
contaminants.
possibly by like 2050, we might have things figured out in the which pieces of the recycling go on which parts of the recycling boxes.
It's a long way to drive to Vernon or to Ferry Road in Brattleboro with your trash, especially in the summertime if you've got garbage that stinks. And I think you're gonna find a lot, I don't know, maybe not, maybe you won't find more litter, but I expect you are gonna find more stuff dumped on the side of the road. More Alice's Restaurant scenarios, that, than you care to. I mean, there can probably be collective curbside. I mean, I could probably collect for 3 or 4 houses around me, but after that, it's gonna be, I'm gonna become a transfer station myself.
Right,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly. Right.
I mean, if Steve brought it down to my house, or if Anita brought it down to my house, and I put it on the curb, and she paid something toward my $40 a month, or whatever it is, that would be one thing, but by the time I got 10 or 12 bags out there every week, it begins to look
Well, now
like,
you-
and I don't want it.
Right, yeah.
I don't want it either.
Now you've suddenly started yourself a little cottage industry.
So, that vote went absolutely nowhere.
I don't know how to record that.
I don't either, because anyway, you can't even call it a failed vote.
Fails for lack of response.
That'd be new, it needs to be different for the minutes.
I think you gotta try it again, but I don't know if you're done with discussion.
Well, there again, that's the point. Evidently, we're not. Just some, you know, y'all have an opinion one way or another if you, so, if we're not
Well,
done
we
with
could
the
also-
discussion, what do we need to, what do
We
we?
could have
need to-
another motion to get rid of the transfer
No, you
station.
can't have a negative motion. You just won't vote for that motion. You
I
vote
see.
against that motion. If you want to get rid of it. So what other discussion do we need to have?
The first 2 attendants we had when we started this business, we have never had no trouble with it.
Yeah, but the first 2 attendants, you could have brought a couple cold beers, you could have put a frickin' nuclear bomb in there.
Well, we weren't separating anything either. We were taking everything into the compactor.
No, but they didn't put stuff in there that wasn't supposed to be, because
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
first thing that Long Hard would do, he'd let them know about it. Make them get it out.
Yep.
And that was the same way.
Yep.
Don't go in there.
Well, I think.
And over time, people learned that it doesn't go in there.
I think that's a conversation that the board needs to have, but I don't think it's part of this conversation.
No,
This
probably
is
not.
one, this is one whether you're gonna stay in business or not stay in business. And then how you stay in business, if you choose to do that, is a whole different, who you're gonna have, what you're gonna pay them, when you're gonna be open, that becomes a whole different, that becomes the managerial matter, which would follow on the heels of this. But
Right.
So-
whether you're gonna maintain services or turn this money back, not raise it.
We still have to even get to the discussion about what we're gonna do with the bag costs. So, do you want me to run the motion through again? Is that where we are? Anybody?
Go ahead, run it through again.
Run it through again. All right, the motion on the table is to continue operation
Operation
of the
of the train.
transfer station through FY18.
Seconded by Irv, motion made by one.
All right, so, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, it was 3, you're not gonna vote?
Well, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, no, it passes, but if you don't want your vote
Yeah,
recorded,
it's still gonna be on record. One way or
Then I
another.
abstain.
Okay. So the
Motion passes, abstention?
Yes, please.
Good.
So now the question becomes, we will have the discussion about the attendant and the logistics of that, but we also need to begin preparing to notify the public. And in that vein, we need to try to figure out what we're gonna do about the cost of the bags.
Of the bags. Yep.
And whether you're going with the compostable garbage or whether
See, I
you're
don't
with
see-
bear proof.
I don't see those as being any,
So we should go with the bear proof.
yeah,
Yeah.
if we have to do it, we may as well go with the
What's
bear
a, how
proof.
big is a 2-yard dumpster?
I have no idea.
It's like
No,
in between like,
It's the size of that table right there, about 3-4 feet high.
Okay, so you can pick it up with a backhoe, put it in the back of a pickup truck and take it to Brattleboro and dump it. I mean, we can haul it ourselves.
Yes.
It's not like you need a special truck.
No.
Right. No.
Well, you can pick it up, but
How do you tip it?
if it's in a container, you gotta have a way to load it.
You put some, I mean, sure, I'm sure it's forkliftable. You put some forks on the bucket.
Yeah, but you gotta tip the damn thing
Yeah, how do you
over.
tip it
every
once you get
single
it down
time
there?
we gotta have a yin and a yang on all of it. It's like just.
Back up really fast and hit the brakes.
The Kirk could cut out a trap door in the bottom. Get under there and open the door. I don't know. Okay, I'm just, well, maybe we need a different kind of container. I'll take 5,
Yeah, why don't we take about a 15-minute break?
take a
Yeah.
breath. Okay.
Yes, please. Let's come
We're
back to order and.
Yeah, I don't record recesses, so we're back on. there.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have just, we finished the discussion on the transfer station.
Motion
Please
passes.
for
One abstention.
as retaining it for 1 more year. We will have an executive session then that will be added to the agenda to discuss the logistics of the coverage of the transfer station attendant. Moving on to the correspondence piece. Scott Bridge reconstruction or restoration. We received a letter from V-Trans. It says,
It came to the town clerk and she forwarded it to me.
well, it doesn't matter who.
Well, no, but
it
I
actually
mean,
does
the
matter
board,
who it
the
came to.
board and I have not been on the mailing list for 3 years.
But it says, ladies and gentlemen, work on the above noted project, rehabilitation of bridge number 45, included rehabilitation of existing trusses, replacement of existing deck, removal and disposal of failed supplemental arches, replacement of siding and metal roofing, as well as minor substructure and approach work was found to have been performed within the requirements of the plan and specifications by resident engineer Chad Greenwood. The final inspection was held on May 17, 2017. The town of Townsend has had opportunity for input at the final inspection and finds the project to be acceptable. Please return this completed form to the attention of so-and-so administrative services technician at the address above. If we do not receive the completed form back or hear from you within 30 days, we will assume that you have accepted the project. Thank you.
I don't remember being invited to look at the bridge.
No, and I wrote back saying that I don't recollect it either, and could you please tell me who was invited or who accepted it at the final
Yeah.
inspection, who approved it?
Who'd they say?
They didn't. She didn't write back to me. I got a note from Chad saying that, well, we didn't come to the pre-conference engineering hearing, and the bridge has been worked on, and people have stopped in now and then, but basically he accepts it, and the chair should sign this. I mean, it was,
The complete thing was all a state project, there weren't no town.
Well, again, I'm confused by this because number one, I don't ever remember seeing communication about the bridge. I certainly didn't hear anything about something on May 17th.
No.
In his email responding, he did make reference to the fact that the information was issued to the town clerk, I believe. The communique were issued to the town clerk, and that she should have dispersed that to the select board, which is all fine, well and good. But a state agency should know that there's a difference between the clerk and the select board, and that there's not always a clear communication line in place.
right, and we did have, I mean, since 2012 or so, we have had communications with the state on this. I mean, we're a driving force behind not only getting it closed, but we complained about the condition, the deterioration for years before that. But we were very much in the queue for a year or two before the contractor was hired, awarded the bid, and then went into conference, and then the construction began. Once the construction began, we were completely off the grid for it, which is okay. They did the job, and everybody's watched it happen, and I think it looks pretty good. But I don't remember being invited to a final. Again, I don't know why the town needs to sign off on it to begin with, but that was the request, and I simply forwarded it to Kathy, and I asked who might have gotten an official notice on that, and apparently we didn't.
So the question becomes, do we actually sign this and send it back, or do we just let it automatically, after 30 days, let them assume that we've accepted the project?
Don't sign it, let it go.
Well, I'm
I mean, you haven't been involved with it up to this point, so why
But is it
put your
gonna-
name on it?
Is it gonna affect us on some of these grant business?
No, we got other things that are gonna mess us up on the grant. I'm not worried about that at all. We got plenty of ways to mess this up.
We're gonna want you at the audit next month, because I'm gonna be elsewhere in Broward.
Well, then somebody make a motion, you can't make a negative motion.
I'll make a motion to sign.
To sign, and then we can
Right.
choose not to vote that motion in,
Right.
okay? So somebody needs to make a motion to sign the,
Thank you, Will.
I move to sign the letter from V-Trans certifying the completion of the Scott Bridge restoration.
That's the town.
bridge number 5, yeah.
Bridge number 5?
45.
45, yeah.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of signing the what are we calling it,
It's the town letter, by official name.
No, it's not either.
Okay.
It is the
Scott Bridge restoration. and
Scott Bridge
acceptance letter.
rehabilitation, yes. Signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Okay, the motion passes with one, or fails with one abstention. Okay, so they'll just be able to go their 30 days and they'll be back. All right, the southern meter, the Vermont Watershed. Okay, now to find the right letter on the clipboard. This is for a later time, but we received a letter, actually I did. The Southeast Vermont Watershed Alliance is a nonprofit organization which utilizes a dedicated team of volunteers to test the water quality in rivers and streams in the watershed and can identify problems and alert the appropriate agencies. We also provide communities with information and data about the safety of waters for recreation activities. As part of our mission, we request to be allowed a time at one of your select board meetings during the testing season, June 1st to September 1st, to give a brief overview and report on our organization and answer any questions. Vermont has been in the forefront of protecting our waters, and Southeastern Vermont Watershed Alliance is proud to be part of that effort, and then it gives us a contact information. So the question becomes, would you like to invite these people to come speak to the board during the window that they specified?
Do we know anything about them?
Watershed Alliance? Yeah, they've been around for quite a while. They do good work, but,
They've come here once.
yeah.
Do we want, we need to respond to this one way or another, either yes with a date or,
I'm all set.
If you
I
want
would like
to
to-
be polite, you can send it to the planning commission.
we could do that as well. We could let them come and speak to
I
the
mean,
planning commission. Oh, boy, I'm gonna catch you for the planning commission tomorrow, aren't I?
Yeah, I got some go arounds tomorrow night, yeah, with them, and I don't wanna sink too much shit. So, but, anyway,
I mean, the planning commission is,
and they can send you an advisory or something if they so choose.
right, exactly. Yeah, I move that we pass this on to the planning commission.
So moved.
Okay, to the motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing this request on to the planning commission, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right.
Yeah, it's
Now, it's now,
that one, cause I need that.
it's now somebody else's, not mine.
No, that's fine, then I'll contact them and I'll find them.
Yeah, man, it seems like
Let them know that
that's,
you're not having any meetings this summer.
Take the whole summer off, we decided.
Finish your business and take a little vacation.
We got
it seems like
garbage
it's
to pick
the
up.
planning commission purview, kind of anyway, sort of.
Yeah, maybe, we'll see.
All right, then moving on to old business, roadside mowing, we've only had one
We've only had one.
person express interest. And we probably should reread the request or the proposal.
Did-
And this is from, okay,
Bruce, okay.
okay. And it says approximately 132 miles roadside mowing, 2 passes. 3 and 4 were possible over the rail mowing and will mow back all intersections. Will provide signage, certificates of insurance, proof of workers' comp, a W-4 if my quote is accepted by the town. It was 132 miles at $85 a mile for a total of $11,220.
What's in the budget for that, for mowing?
It just comes out of the maintenance, highway maintenance.
Does the road mileage sound right, Eric?
The road
Yeah,
miles,
pretty close.
yeah, we have 66 miles of road, so times 2.
What size mower does he have?
He's got 110 horsepower, brand new, I don't know what he's got.
No, with the width. of
It,
the
it's a
actual
big,
mower.
no, the last one he had was a big, 4-wheel wide track, you know what it was?
I think it was a Ford.
Was a Ford, big Ford, but it's a big machine.
What is
24, 25 feet arm or something that sticks out on the side.
What did it cost us last year?
It was
Have it-
roughly $8,000 to rent, and then you had a month of labor, and I
Okay.
didn't do the labor.
So that's a
Huh?
substantial.
Another eight.
Oh, yeah, well, plus the fuel, yeah, you're looking at,
Labor and repairs.
So it's comparable.
and you're not getting 2 miles to a gallon when they do it. I mean, that's a lot of
I
miles.
make a motion to approve Bruce Orcutt's proposal of 11,000,
$200.
not to exceed
Not to exceed.
$11,220.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Bruce Orcutt's bid to do the roadside mowing for the town of Town for $11,220, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Could we get an idea, an approximate start date?
Yep, did he put it on there or not?
He did not.
I did talk to him, and he indicated that he was flexible, that was a couple of weeks ago now. He was flexible from mid-August after that. So, I mean, you could do it mid-August or toward the end of August or September, early September.
Do it just soon as the middle of August, we said.
The reason we didn't do one year is because whoever we had couldn't get to it before the end of November or something, and by then there was snow on the ground. It didn't make any sense. And I know Kurt lined up the one from the rental one for this year. But that's been kind of stopped, but that was for late September, October. And I think Irv was saying that's a little late. He'd rather see it done midsummer, August.
Yeah, it seems
stuff
like it's better
starts
to do
brown
it,
up.
yeah, exactly.
Seems to be fully grown, but it's starting to brown a little bit.
Mhm.
All right, I'll give Bruce a call.
Thank you, Bruce. And then Angell Swale? Did you meet with her?
We went and looked at it. Like, Miss Kurt in the morning, so I got a hold of, I tried in the afternoon, but they'd gone home. One time I thought about it, and I called her. But, right, I never see the end of it. But I don't know what they did to make that look like that. It looks like crap. They stuck up a couple big rocks and stuff in there, and it was pretty damn good looking with the stone wall and stuff in there. But I think if we're gonna go this time, we might as well change that culvert. Because it's probably half a dozen years down the road, you're gonna have to change it anyways.
It doesn't meet code, I mean, you said it was 15 inch, it's metal, it's collapsing, it's rusting.
Are we doing the culvert or are we doing the swale? What one are we talking
Well,
about?
I think whatever,
the
Jesse,
first-
it's one, we might as well do the other.
The first part of it is that the water is backing up, the mud is going, the whole road, that, what do you call it? The exiting end of the culvert, the road is this much higher than that. That's all eroding down, it's making mud in the little vernal pool that the culvert dumps into. That's all backing up into the culvert. The culvert's half plugged right now. But the culvert itself is only 15 inch. And by law, it should be 18, and I'm not sure it shouldn't be bigger than that because of what it drains off that hillside. But that being said,
Never had much trouble with it anyway.
no, but you said
But you're going
you,
3 inches, you'd be surprised how many more gallons.
but you said you remember putting it in probably before 1990, so it's getting on.
Well,
Yeah,
that was in the 90s.
yeah, okay. So he indicated, I mean, rather than fix that tail end of it, wherever the water comes out, and rebuild any part of that stone structure up there and dig out where the culvert empties, there's no sense doing that and then turning around.
And
And
replace it
3 or 4 years
next
from
year.
now, digging up the damn road and putting in a
You
culvert.
see, that's a
Should be
metal
replaced.
culvert in there, so it's probably
I'm sure the bottom's gone.
right at the bottom.
I thought we only had 3 metal culverts in the whole town.
Oh, I can name at least 3.
No, don't stop me on that.
That's a whole other discussion.
Well, that's what the culvert inventory says. Okay, get that out, let's see it.
So basically, what's the recommendation then, to go ahead and put a new culvert in, replace that culvert on the road? And what are we going to do about what is it, a retaining wall that the culvert sits in, or?
Yeah, that wall up on the end of it, you got just put some big, looks like crap. Yeah, just set some things and goddamn gravel keeps pouring down into the end of it.
Well, they keep grading the gravel into the.
Yeah, they don't keep it out to the
Makes sense.
stone wall anyways. It needs probably about, 46 feet of pipe. Near as I could measure.
Yeah, it's 40 foot across right
And,
now. It's short 5 or 6 feet,
And,
seems.
The culvert's short, it's not.
The culvert's short,
culvert's
yeah.
short, well,
There's
thank you.
there's a stone wall on her property, but there's an indent of about 5 or 6 feet. This big C-shaped, U-shaped, whatever you wanna call it, where the culvert is short. So if you're driving down the road riding on the shoulder, you actually have a pretty good drop off right there, because the stone wall continues. But they've pushed a bunch of boulders up against them, it's piled in there. But all the gravel and all the dirt is coming down in between the boulders, it's all eroding right
I
into
think that's what they call a dirt road.
Oh, it is. It is a
Oh,
dirt
okay.
road. No, I'm
We'll
not.
drive around, what are we gonna fix every spot that's like that?
I'm just saying, you've got an old culvert there, and if you were to fix that
Don't we
stone
have
wall.
a list of the culverts that are of importance compared to the ones that aren't?
You got a former highway foreman here, and he looked at that culvert. But anyway, if that culvert were to be replaced, it would probably be extended. And there's no sense in having anybody fix that wall or extend that road out. If you're just gonna rip the whole thing out with an excavator in 3 or 4 years to replace the culvert anyway. So,
So there's no point in dealing with the swale without dealing with the underlying problem of
Well,
culvert.
the swale is insignificant relatively. I mean, in terms of, it's 2 hours work for somebody. If you're already there doing a day's worth of work replacing the culvert, that's your big ticket. And the
Right.
culvert's gonna need to be replaced.
If you were gonna take the money out of your pocket, would you put a quote on it being 2 hours to fix the swale?
I would bid it out and have somebody else do the whole job.
Do you think you're gonna find somebody to do it for 2 hours?
The swale, yeah, I think you can drive it back through there and
The swale is-
drag the bucket.
But you ain't gonna set the culvert and the swale and everything in 2 hours.
No, of course not, of course not. But the swale itself, you just gotta get rid of the rock that she's got there,
Yeah.
redistribute it somewhere
Get
else.
that out of there.
Yeah, but it's not 2 hours work, it's an 8-foot drop between the culvert and the rock wall. I mean, you've already got a ditch there. I mean, it's a ditch. There's no problem, water's gonna go downhill, as you were fond of saying, it is going downhill. The problem with where they put the culvert through the stone wall at the other end where the water's supposed to go into our property, town property, is that it's that much too high over the yard. The water can't get up to the culvert to go up, the culvert's only 3 feet long, but I mean, it can't get up to it. I think Crozier put it in, but anyway, it's sitting too high up there. But the water's gonna go from the culvert right across their
But I
property.
think that must have filled in, it didn't used to be set apart, but,
Well, I never had a culvert there, there used to be a little stone arch, and that did fill in.
no, that was a culvert in there.
Was there a culvert?
I changed it.
Well, whatever, anyway.
That was way back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
So again, what's the plan? Have we spoken to the property owner?
Yeah, she was there.
Okay, did we get anything in writing about potentially what could be done and how to mitigate this issue?
No, I can. But she would prefer that Kurt didn't do the swale,
Why?
because the way he left the end of that culvert a mess and everything else.
Well,
You look
sounds
at a
good.
lot of others.
Excellent. New business?
You look at a lot of those culverts the way he left them. You got some over on the State Forest Road right now, a lot of can't get to them.
Well, should we give her a list of contractors to call?
Oh, yeah.
Does the culvert
She
need to
doesn't
be
want Kurt to
changed?
do it.
The culvert needs to
You're
be
gonna do
changed
it?
anyway.
Alright, the culvert needs to be changed. It's too short, it's metal, it's rotting out.
No, I'd say, that's my recommendation, replace the culvert. Then we'll get something straightened out from, I'll get something from him right in.
Okay, so technically, the first thing that needs.
But that's just regular highway work, sorry.
First thing that needs to happen is that culvert needs to be replaced. Now, the
Right.
question becomes, do we mandate that our crew replace that culvert and give them a deadline to get that done?
I say yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but make sure it's long enough so it's out, to where the wall is, so it won't dig one of them pockets in again.
Well, they're going to
Measure
destroy,
twice.
they're gonna restore, they're gonna destroy
That
what's
was
left
the
of
roller
the
tape,
wall.
not the sharp tape.
No, they ain't got it, there's plenty of gap, they dug the stones out of the wall.
Okay, so they won't have to disturb what's there.
No, let them on the side of the wall,
They're gonna,
rest it's that way.
they'll have to bring up some stone from the pit or something, find some stone.
Okay, so technically, the crew can begin this process by fixing the stone wall. Or fixing the stone-
Replacing the.
Replacing the culvert, right?
Yes.
So you gotta cut the lilacs first.
And the roses, no, I'm
No,
sorry.
ain't no lilacs, so yeah.
Anyway,
You dig them out, they're buried.
anyway. So I need a motion to have Craig instruct the highway department to replace the culvert, I don't know what number culvert it is, but
I don't know.
the culvert,
Yep, the only one on that road anyway.
let's do it right, so
It's
that,
the only culvert, no, I say you can get the number, 'cause it's the only culvert on that road.
yeah, so that we can actually, get it down in the record for the inventory, if nothing else.
Yep.
I was wondering, is there any other culverts that are in need of being repaired more than that one, or is that just all of a sudden the wind's blowing this way today and we're gonna fix that culvert?
We're just gonna take one thing off our list.
But I'm gonna say that, get one thing off the list, because if you go ahead and fix the side there, then she's not gonna be happy with it.
I mean, as of 2012, it's listed in poor condition, so.
So it was already on the list.
All right, good. Well, now I feel better.
Okay,
My soul is soothed.
we still know what number it is, we can,
The journal?
no.
Oh.
You need to find something else to do to occupy your free period.
Possibly.
Mm.
Working on bad comedy right now.
Are you?
Yeah,
Good.
What are you working on?
bad comedy.
As long as it doesn't turn the signs off,
I don't know.
all the time.
Try this out.
Number 36?
Okay, Townsend Village, I think that's the road right there.
See where you got.
This is gonna be the road right here. That's Route 30.
C-21's a bridge.
Right here is 35.
Yeah, but you're way down in Hornbyville.
Yeah, no, this is Simpsonville up here, so this is the common right here. So we need to go from the common up this way.
It's gonna be right
Oh,
here.
right here. You're coming right here, 54.
Right. So 54. I don't know what that is. That's a length.
0.15.
Okay, that's a .15 mile road, that's number road. All right, so I don't have a culvert number on that.
So that's not.
Because that's a high, that's a road.
Huh? No, just, but what it does, you get the drainage from, I'm in here on Route 30, it goes between, before you get to Doc, usually Doc Backus's office, get down around and comes down through by Jeffers out back and then crosses and goes down into that field.
You're making an awful lot of noise.
Just makes it more fun this way.
I see.
You get a resident cartographer.
I want a number, yes,
Is it number one?
probably.
Around the common and you head up 30 a little ways, and it's right there.
Yes,
You dump
what's
out
orange
like
mean?
54.
Yep. Fair to 4. So it's number 1 on Elkwood Road.
Okay, so it's culvert number 1.
The only one on my road.
Oh, it's number 1. So the motion was to have Craig instruct the highway crew.
Who made the motion?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we made the motion yet.
Have the chair what?
Huh? Have the chair do what?
Okay. So we haven't finished
No,
that?
no move. Stop. Okay. The motion, was somebody doing motion, or do we need to still do
I
it?
did not make a motion.
Okay, then we need a motion to instruct the highway crew to replace culvert number 1 on Oakwood Cemetery Road with an appropriately sized culvert.
And length.
Well, size and length?
Now we're getting into complicated.
I'm sorry.
Replace culvert number 1.
The street square level, but you're not getting all 3.
Oh, okay.
You want going, you want the water flowing.
Sounds like my house.
That way, right?
So is there a second to that?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on
Do
that?
you want a deadline on it, or is this open-ended?
Oh, yes, oh God, we
Okay,
decided
well,
the
it's
deadline.
fine, yeah.
What's the deadline? By
Replacement culvert?
Now, we're just doing the culvert, right?
just the culvert?
And the head wall, exit wall.
What you would do when you put in a new
Yeah,
culvert.
Alright.
yeah. What do you think is a reasonable timeframe?
What, to have it done?
Yeah,
Wednesday?
I don't know.
This week?
Well, they're pretty busy right now, we got inventory, network inventory coming up, and then Plum Road, paving.
Oh, it's
The paving Plum Road?
Vacations, Vacation.
They're paving Plum Road, I'm excited.
No, we got a grade Plum
I
Road.
see, okay.
not pavement.
No, he said
The
paving.
gravel pavement.
I think that was paving comma Plum Road.
Anyway,
So what kind of a dead
By the end
timeframe?
of July, I would say, but third week in July or something, we should be able to get to it.
Well, is that gonna leave us enough time to do whatever else has to be done in the way of, or not us or whomever? Once
To
you get,
mitigate the rest of
once
the,
you talk to Christina and find out exactly what.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's make it by,
1st August,
I don't know, I think that's too long,
3 weeks.
because then it's gonna get pushed out farther and farther and farther.
you're gonna get in vacation
Yeah,
soon.
you're already into
You got-
vacation time, as soon as you.
Yeah, we can get
Give them a date of July 1st and let them come back with what his issues are, and we'll battle it out with them.
You gotta say, because that
We're
gives them,
drawing in the sand, are
That's
we?
it.
that gives them the whole,
Yeah.
that's 30 days in
It's
June.
30 days.
In June.
It's more than that, because she came to this board in.
No, we're
end
talking
of May
notice,
la-
notice for sure.
But this has been since the end of May last year.
Yeah,
This
it's
has
been a
been an
long
issue.
time
This has
coming.
been before the board, and this isn't even addressing her issue, it is replacing the town culvert, which needs to be, I gather, replaced.
But then we're going to need something in writing from her that details exactly what needs to happen.
Okay, Will made the motion, who seconded? By July 1st.
I did.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion on that?
No, see what do you think? But I mean, as far as I can see, the culvert, especially the stuff is built right up on the end of it. Just they're going down through and trying to get up over a waterfall.
So,
But
hearing no other discussion, all those in favor
that
of,
takes a while, I don't know about that. She wants to make sure it looks decent. They dug her stones out, it was in there.
By July 1st, you'll be able to go out there and look at it, and you'll either like it or you won't.
Yeah, what do you
They're gonna
think?
have both ends to do, head end and tail.
all right, so all those in favor of instructing the town highway crew to replace the culvert on Oakwood Cemetery Road, culvert number 1, signify by saying aye. By July 1st, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Would you please pass that message along? All right. Then, moving on to the dog warrant, we have not as many as usual. Dogs that are delinquent. I say it's not the dogs, it's the owners.
First, then the dogs after.
15 dogs that have not been
A
registered
couple of them are duplicates, aren't they? I mean,
for people.
one
yeah.
owner,
Yeah.
one owner
Yeah.
with 2 dogs or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I would entertain a motion to sign the,
By law, you have to.
delinquent, or the, what do I wanna say here? I
It's a
want to-
warrant, it's a
Not a
warrant.
warrant.
It's a warrant for,
Hundreds of
Seize, seize and destroy.
that's not what it says.
Okay. Change the line.
Yes, it says, by the authority of the state of Vermont, you are hereby commanded forthwith to impound and destroy in a humane way or cause to be destroyed in a humane way all dogs and wolf hybrids not duly licensed according to the law accepted by exception of blah, 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 blah. Okay, so in other words, this is a warrant for Warren Beatty to seek the owners of the dogs that are not registered and either have them registered or to have them destroyed. So entertain a motion to sign this or approve this.
Make a motion to sign the dog warrant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the warrant to be issued to Warren Beatty as constable, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Oh, my pen is over. Go that way, then we'll come back. All right. Is there any other new business? No other new business?
The only thing is, I'll have to find out from her what he wants to do with that soil.
Okay, well, needless to say, that's actually on her property, and that we have to be really careful about what we do.
Oh, yeah.
Do.
No, I
It's usually
realize
on the
that, but
common.
it's still according to the statute, you gotta maintain it.
I understand that. I'm just saying, we have to be
Oh,
very
yeah. No,
careful
I ain't
about
saying
what we
that-
do.
I think what I got, I should like just as a swale there, but maybe if you put the swale in, if you had a piece of pipe, so she can get one piece of belong to the other piece.
Well, there are things in discussion out there about, with regard to that. I mean, when you bring that out to make a,
Yeah, but 6 feet ain't gonna bring it up further than that. It's only gonna bring it up through the wall.
All right, so is there any other business?
I don't know.
All right, then I don't have this legal citation here. Just a minute. Yeah, let's let me look here. That's not the right page. Oh, yes, it is.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session under 1 VSA section 313. A4.
A4.
Yep. To discuss a public officer or an employee.
Second.
Is there any discussion on it?
It's gonna be at say 8, is there gonna be a resolution coming out? I assume there will be.
I think there will be a resolution. I don't know whether it will actually be at that point in time for public consumption.
I don't know if you can state the resolution before you go into executive session, but I would assume that the chair would follow up.
That will probably be the case.
I would assume it would be generic to have the chair follow up on discussion with the town attorney.
Right. That's where we're going. is with the
Well, I would guess that's the resolution even before you go, because I don't think you have any other resolution. I don't think you have any choice.
No, I agree. So,
So you have a motion on the table that's been seconded. I think you know the resolution before you go in. You want to wait.
well,
Or can you make the resolution in advance of?
no, I can't really make a resolution, you know, that I don't think it's going to be a public resolution
Okay.
for the executive, but the possibility exists, so.
Well, we're gonna call it 8:15 anyway.
Okay, so the question becomes, Richard, I told you I wasn't going to let you out of here early. Do I make you wait? Okay.
She's gonna talk to an attorney.
That's exactly what's gonna
And
happen.
that's all it's gonna.
So let's just say that there won't be any definitive resolution of that as far as being able to.
Are you gonna do a Jamaica on him again?
I am. And so, yeah, so you don't need to hang around for the end of the discussion. So, we're
Well,
ready.
there won't be any
to-
other business, but the next meeting will be on the 13th. Thanks for pointing that out, not the 10th.
Is there any other
there were
business
pieces.
before we vote on that motion to go into executive?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor of going to executive session to discuss an employee, what did I call it?
Town employee,
The 10th.
or a public official.
A public official or town employees, the employment of, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. So we'll be moving into executive session at 8:10.